this is why I love having Caleb on. He says Nick Saban's underachieved at Alabama. So Alabama fans, Tennessee fans, Georgia fans, tune in right now. Turn the speaker all the way up. Hit the smash and like button because I'm going to try to figure out, and I need you to help me, why Caleb Calhoun thinks that Nick Saban has underachieved at Alabama.
So
here he goes. When he takes that break, that's what scares me.
All right, let's get this going. I've been ready for this, guys. And yes, I pitched this topic, did I not, Dave?
It's total insanity. Total insanity.
So, in terms of a macro perspective, has Nick Saban underachieved? No. He's actually he's done even more than what's possible at Alabama. And so, as far as doing everything as a CEO, no, he has not underachieved.
You're burying the lead. You're burying the lead. Why is he underachieved?
As a ball coach, he has underachieved. He is a great recruiter. I think he's a middle of the pack analytical X's and O's coach. And I got proof on that, by the way. Let's see. Nick Saban. 247 Sports has tracked the full talent composite of teams based on recruits and transfers since 2015, where you should be ranked. Alabama's been number one 7 of the 9 years that has existed. Well, since 2015, Alabama only has 3 national titles, and one was the COVID year. Okay, so wait, only 3 national titles, but you got the best team in the nation 7 times? That's called underachieving.
Who wouldn't trade that?
I didn't say anybody would trade it. I said it's underachieving. If you have the best team in the nation 7 years, you should have 7 national titles of those years. If you don't win the national title the year you have the best team, you underachieved. The 99 team at Tennessee underachieved.
Just because the recruiting rankings? Is that what I mean? Is that
the recruiting and transfer rankings? 247 Sports Composite tracks the full talent of your roster based on the recruiting rankings of players and the rankings of transfers that you added. And they've been doing that since 2015. And Alabama's had the number 1 most talented team 7 out of 9 times. They've had the most NFL draft picks, I believe, also 7 out of 9 times since that time. And they have 3 national titles. Nick Saban has a grand total of 7 national titles, by the way. This doesn't even count 2008, 2009, 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2014. By the way, he had the number 1 recruiting class all of those years. Nick Saban has, relative to the talent he's brought in, should have won 10 national titles, not 6. That is underachieving.
Well, he's won 7.
It is underachieving.
Won 7. Give him the LSU one.
I'll give him. He had 2 number 1 recruiting classes at LSU. He should have won 2 national titles at LSU.
Somebody has a successful first down play, and then you say, "Oh, they only converted on third down because they got 9 yards on first." That's part of it. Recruiting is part of building a roster, and Nick Saban has done that.
I said he's underachieved relative to the talent he's brought in. That doesn't mean overall and the macro scale he's underachieved. Relative to the talent he's brought in. Dave, where do you think Alabama? You know Alabama this year was ranked number 1 in talent. They were ranked number 1 again. Guess where Michigan was ranked?
Probably 8th, 9th?
14th.
14th.
So, all talent being equal, you need to go win a game. Are you taking Nick Saban or Jim Harbaugh to coach the game? If they have the same talent, they have the exact same amount of talent on the level of talent, both teams.
Why do you think that's easy? That's not easy.
I mean,
Nick Saban made a change during a championship game at quarterback and came back and won the game. That's as good as game management as I've ever seen any person on the face of the earth do.
You say that's great game management. I say that's poor quarterback management that Nick Saban wasn't starting 2 of the whole year. And okay.
Maybe he's too loyal there, but you specifically said game manager. I think Nick Saban's an incredible game manager. Look at what he did in Tennessee.
You watched that game on Monday. Jim Harbaugh was 18 steps ahead of Nick Saban on X's and O's the whole time. There's absolutely no reason Alabama should have lost that game if you look at the talent level. But Jim Harbaugh was.
I don't think the talent level's that off. I've told you since September that Michigan was the best football team in the nation. Did I not? I can
you
look
did,
at
but I'm sorry. I've disagreed with you. I think Alabama is way more loaded in talent, and you're going to see it in the NFL in 3 years. Alabama will have way more NFL players than Michigan was. Nick Saban, has done not much more than Ryan Day has done since Ryan Day took over at Ohio State at this point. Okay. They've both underachieved at the same level relative to the talent. And I'm saying, yes, he's a great recruiter. I think he's middle of the pack coach. I'd rather Josh Heupel game plan than Nick Saban. If I needed a game for my life, I'd rather Josh Heupel as a game planner than Nick Saban. And here's the issue. You bring up the quarterback switch, Dave. I think Nick Saban's greatest weakness, he knows ball. You've talked about how great of a defensive backs coach he is. I think Nick Saban's career as a head coach is littered with a track record of mismanaging quarterbacks, and he's not good at it. You know this.
I'd agree with that. But still, we're talking about minor marks. I mean, like if my son comes home,
mismanaging quarterbacks is huge.
No, but he's still winning big time. If my son or daughter come home and they say, I got a B and 4 A's, I'm not upset about the B. I mean, the thing that I thought that was his biggest weakness pre-Lane Kiffin was that he would sit on the lead in the second half. And I thought a couple of those games, including one against Lane Kiffin, almost slipped away from him. So, but I can't say the guy's underrated. I mean, I just can't go there. Underachieved.
No, he's underachieved as an X's and O's coach. He's a middle of the pack X's and O's coach in football. I think there are a lot of coaches that are better at X's and O's than he is, including Jim Harbaugh, including Josh Heupel. And this goes back to
we're gonna have to agree to differ on that.
This goes back.
A very good X's and O's coach.
This goes back to 2000. If you remember, Dave, Rohan Davey, remember the game that Rohan Davey got his first start against Tennessee and torched Tennessee, and Tennessee wasn't ready for him? Remember that?
Yes. Rohan Davey brings back a lot of memories. By the way, Travis says Nick Saban is a bust. Caleb Calhoun.
Here's the question, though. Rohan Davey got the start. Why didn't Nick Saban start from the whole year? He started Josh Booty over Rohan Davey at the beginning. Okay? That was who makes that decision? Okay, because Rohan Davey was clearly better. And then Nick Saban is the reason. Nick Saban got outcoached by Hugh Freeze this year. He always gets outcoached by Hugh Freeze in X's and O's every time they go head to head. Remember when Hugh Freeze used to beat Nick Saban at Ole Miss?
No, yeah, he beat him twice in a row. I think still the only SEC team to do that, right? I guess Georgia has done it since.
No, Georgia hasn't done it. Kirby Smart's only beaten Nick Saban once.
Okay, that's right.
Yes, Nick Saban, by the way, one of the years he did it, and this is what I talk about. He mismanages quarterbacks all the time. He basically, Nick Saban, 2015, the year they lost to Ole Miss. Remember Jake Coker won that national title, Dave?
Yeah, barely. Goodness gracious.
You can bring up the Tua move in the national title game. I can bring up the fact that Nick Saban benched Jake Coker for Cooper Bateman against Ole Miss, and that's why they lost, because Nick Saban didn't know how to handle the quarterback situation. He mismanages quarterbacks all the time, and that has cost him more than it's helped him. And I am saying as a ball guy, as a guy who knows ball, not as a recruiter, as a ball guy, Nick Saban has underachieved. I would take Dabo Swinney as a ball guy over Nick Saban. And I would take Josh Heupel as a ball guy over Nick Saban.
Okay.
And there.
So you're basing this mostly off of recruiting with Nick Saban, right? He's recruited so well that he hasn't lived up to recruiting
to winning
analysis.
Yes.
He hasn't lived up to recruiting analytics in the Nerdalytic department that are putting together these ratings that probably don't talk to scouts or anything else. But anyway.
Right. I can just track NFL draft picks too, but sure, go ahead. Go.
That's true. Okay. I think I'm going to fortify your point. In 2021, Jim Harbaugh and Michigan Wolverines ranked 13th in the nation in recruiting. In 2022, my computer froze up. Do you want to pull up 2022? Why did my computer freeze up?
I can bring up 2022. Yes.
Yeah, my computer completely froze up. I'm surprised I still have you, which is good. 2021, they were 13th. Let me see if I can get to 2022 now.
2022, they were 9th.
Okay, yeah, it's not working on mine at all. Okay, and what were they? 2023.
23, they were pretty good, but no, they were down. Michigan at 2023 was down at 17th.
Well, and those kids aren't going to play. Here's what he's doing. He's doing a Nebraska, build them in, get them better, develop them, but he's doing it with a little bit more talent and a flair for passing the football. And listen, if you can go out and hire a great quarterback coach as opposed to a great defensive line coach, everybody loves a great quarterback coach. And it naturally brings more players to your school because it brings the better quarterbacks to your school as well. I tell you, it's time to go ahead and get on Facebook and sign up for Sports Treasures. Sports Treasures TN, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow on Facebook for the best in sports memorabilia, daily updates. I love them. Facebook.com and go to Sports Treasures TN. Follow them today, please, and you'll find fantastic gifts and more for your loved ones moving forward. Yeah, some people like, it doesn't just have to be Christmas, right, Caleb? Some people like Valentine's Day ball gifts.
They do. Some people do like Valentine's Day Vol gifts.
Will you be my Valentine, Caleb?
No. But no, I will not. I'm trying to be Lane Kiffin's next Valentine. Who, by the way, saved Nick Saban's career. There, let's go there.
No, there's no question he did. And but Nick Saban underachieved at Alabama. I find that extremely tough to swallow. Now, I'll give you this: if Kirby Smart had gone to South Carolina, which he almost did, and George was like, "Whoa, somebody needs to shoot Mark Richt in the leg," and the SEC still would have been open because Kirby Smart wouldn't have had the same success at South Carolina that he's having at Georgia. Then, and Nick Saban had the same number of championships. Okay, I'd give you that. But right now, you've got another coach that's one of the greatest coaches of his generation come up at the very same time. So he's that much more difficult to beat. He's going to win one or two of those battles. We've seen that.
Yes, and I'm actually excusing him for losing to Georgia in the 2021 national title. You know what I'm not excusing? I'm not excusing him losing to Michigan this year. I'm not excusing him losing to Tennessee and LSU last year. I'm not excusing him losing to Clemson in 2 national title games. I'm not excusing one of those national title games with Trevor Lawrence. Clemson beat the brakes off Alabama. Alabama didn't even belong on the same field as Clemson. Look at the NFL. Alabama had more talent. How do you let Clemson blow you out like that, Dave, if you're such a great X's and O's coach and you have the most talent on the team?
Well, I don't think we're going to agree on this because I think Nick Saban is the best X's and O's coach that's walking the face of the earth.
Except he couldn't figure out Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson.
Well, I'm not saying he's the best game management coach. Okay, I'll give you that. But I think he's the best X's and O's guy. I think he puts a game plan together that has a better chance of succeeding than 99% of the other coaches in college football.
I can't do that with the Trevor Lawrence scenario. Trevor Lawrence torched him. Now, Deshaun Watson, it was close back and forth, and the defense just didn't show up that game. But Trevor Lawrence, Clemson won that game by like 30. That was a bad look. Saban had more talent, and he lost a game to Clemson by 30 because he couldn't figure out Trevor Lawrence.
Okay, so what does Nick Saban have to do to not be an underachiever in your mind?
Well,
or is there anything you can do? He just dug that hole, buried himself in it. He's an underachiever under Caleb's.
So he's got to have 4 years where he's not the most talented team, and he's got to win a national title those 4 years.
Oh yeah, that seems perfectly easy to do.
Here's one. He has to win. Here's where I'll change. He has to win one national title, one where he's not deemed the most talented team in football that year based on 247 Sports Composite. Give me one. He has never won a national title when he didn't have the most talented team. Even Philip Fulmer won a national title without the most talented team.
Okay, fair point. I'll give you that. Still a great X's and O's.
I mean, it's almost Nick Saban is dangerously closer to John Calipari to me in basketball. Now, John Calipari,
someone that's won championship,
but John Calipari, they're always all freshmen. That you can't keep him in the program. Like at least Nick Saban gets to keep him for 3 years.
All right. Elias says, congrats, Caleb. You did the impossible today. You got a room full of Tennessee fans defending Nick Saban. I don't know what's going on here. Caleb's been up partying this morning or something. We had the 3:45 a.m. production meeting. Everything was going great. And then Caleb said, I got a wild one today.
Jim Harbaugh would not have let Tommy Rees make that call on 4th down in overtime. the other night. Jim Harbaugh never would have made a call that stupid.
Dylan, I hate Saban, but come on, man. He's the best coach in recent memory.
Do you think Nick Saban ever would have been the type of coach smart enough to do what like Bear Bryant did in 1970 and bring out the wishbone out of the blue? Do you think Nick Saban could have been capable of doing that?
Yeah.
You do? You think Nick Saban
He
could have
brought
done
out
that?
an up-tempo offense in the middle of him saying, I'd never do that.
He let Lane Kiffin run the up-tempo offense. And then he reverted right back to it. Then he reverted right back to it. The slow
Hunter
offense.
says, so Saban needs to lower his talent to get Caleb's approval.
Yes. Yes, pretty much, because he's underachieved with the talent he's gotten. If he's had 11 number one recruiting classes and 6 national titles. Sorry, if you have 11 number one recruiting classes, you just have 11 national titles. I'm sorry. That's just how I look at it.
Well, that's just insane, though. I mean, you can't look at it like that. You don't really believe that.